So welcome to the first of this series of podcast videocasts we're doing at the moment with Aberystwyth Town. I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction in Aberystwyth. Made over 200 appearances for the club, scored 113 goals, current manager of the club. I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Gavin Allen. Gav, how are you, mate?
Very good, thank you, mate. Very good. Very quiet, but very good.
The voice is sounding all right, like when we had our first call this morning and actually no shouting, still a bit croaky.
A weekend of football, mate, so my voice is fantastic. It's only the kids and the dogs had it this weekend, so yeah, the voice is very good this weekend.
And if we just we'll have a quick rundown of the season so far. You've got to be quite pleased with the start we've had so far. Bar that Connors Key game, we've been in every game so far. And there's a case to be made. We should have taken something from every single game we've been in.
Yeah, I think if you look at the first 8 games, mate, we've looked at it in a couple of ways of where should we be taking points, where we were hoping to take points, and then when you get the fixtures out and then you see 5, I think our last 5 games were against the top 4 basically that's played in Europe. We always knew that was going to be a challenge. But as what you said, when you look at the first game of the season, we've conceded 83rd, 86 minutes, which was a killer, and I'm very disappointed of, especially the way that we played that day. I thought we were organised. We let Cardiff may have the ball as what we always do, to be honest, but try and hit them on the counter, which we've done well on the day. The Newtown game, 86 minute killer. We took a point in Penabont, which is not an easiest place to ever to go. Even though that we had to play with 10 men for the last 10 minutes, but that was another story. But no, overall, I can't complain. No, I can't. And then one disappointment is that we haven't gone forward again from last week. The fantastic result 2-2 against TNS. I was hoping that we'd bounce into this weekend live on TV against Caernarfon with a lot of confidence. But unfortunately, COVID is here again. We can't do nothing about it, really. But yeah, overall, with the young side that we've got, they're maturing, they're developing slowly, and I'm hoping for some big things, mate.
As you said, there's a very young side we've got there, and there's a lovely blend you've got. We've got people like Willow who've been around the leagues, Connor Roberts. How important are those more experienced heads? I say, I'm not saying that they're ancient, but how important are those more experienced heads in that dressing room at the moment?
Yeah, fair dues to the both of them. They've been fantastic since they've been at the club. When Willow arrived, when Connor came in last year, it's just that level of experience that sometimes, doesn't matter how many games you've got, the knowledge that they've got, they know the league inside out. And to be truthful, it's that kind of man management as well. That they've got their own responsibility as captain, and the experience that Connor brings in is how they talk to the young boys. There's no point to be. Yes, sometimes we've got to be critical, but more of the opposite way, to be honest. To be constructive, for them to understand that they need to develop a little bit quicker than hopefully than watching mistakes happening every week. And I can't fault the both of them, to be truthful to you. And the biggest thing about the both of them, they're two great, fantastic individuals. So I'm hoping to especially for this season, that they carry on with the fantastic work that they do.
And looking at the squad you've assembled now, you've basically fulfilled a lot of Ceredigion dreams at the moment by bringing a local flavour to that side. Some might say it's the right way, some might say it's the wrong way, but at the moment it's looking like the right way about doing things. You must be pleased with that, the gelling that's been going on there, and the position we've got in with an inexperienced side plus a very locally flavoured side.
Yeah, I think the local people need to understand one thing. I'm not being critical regarding everybody. It's we've had players, we've had the full squad from away, and literally just scraping, 4th from bottom, 3rd from bottom. Now we're looking at a completely different manner. This is not going to happen overnight, mate. These youngsters that's coming through, they need to blend slowly. They need time to adjust to the league. But you can't have everything, and it won't happen every night. My own feeling is we've tried one aspect of having 14, 15 boys from away, and then the 2 local boys, basically either one playing and one's on the bench. If you're looking at the TNS game, I thought that just highlights everything at this water time, that we had 6 locals again this year started. And when you look at majority of the games, it's probably been between 4 and 6 in every game. and Claude to the boys, they've really grasped it. They've enjoyed the challenge, as I would say, and at this moment of time, I think they're doing fantastically for the club. They're embedded into the club, as I keep saying, it's their club. Yeah, we're local. They're the local players. This is their club, and if they can have that mentality and that, that knowledge of how to work with the boys from away, I think we're on the right blend. But obviously, we'll see at the end of the season.
And before we delve a bit deeper into your career, how are you finding being as the manager of Aberystwyth Town?
Thank God I've lost my hair, I've got to be honest. Obviously, with COVID coming in and everything, obviously it's been a challenge. We've had to change a lot of structure that we put in place. The pre-season friendlies that we had organised, we only had 3. The training methods, then we have had to change there because obviously with so many midweek games that was on. But now, as I try to say to everybody last week, I think it was our first Wednesday of literally back in training for nearly three and a half weeks. So basically then trying to have some realism back to the season. And then we get the news over last week, and then basically now we're off for another 3 weeks. So it's unfortunate, but for my own, for myself, I'm trying to learn. That's the only thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to develop myself. I'm on my pro license as we speak. Yeah, it's challenging, but it's an excitement challenge, and I'm hoping, with the people that's around, which is key at this football club, that we are working together as a team. That's on and off the pitch, to make sure that the culture is correct in that football club. I won't be negative, maybe that we have lost that in the last 3-4 years, and hoping to try and get it back into this local community of football that we're trying to achieve.
Perfect. And okay, so let's have a trip down memory lane. So going back to a young Gavin Allen as a boy, talk me through your first experience of the football. What are your first memories around football?
I would say, man, we were brought up in a little village called Daniel and in North Wales, and I think there's about 500 people to 1,000 maximum, basically. It's a local community again. They love their football. The passion for football is phenomenal. And then, it was weird to say that, from a household, we had 2 professional football players. And obviously with my brother, basically, when he left home, he was 16. I was only 6. And, he went to Watford, 7, 8 years old, meeting John Barnes. That was my wow factor, basically. And seeing exactly what was all about, going to watch my brother play football, watching in the stands, hearing the crowd singing his name, it was just phenomenal. And literally, that then would give you that excitement of trying to get to that kind of format as well. But my own development, I think I had something in the region around 27 trials when I was a boy. I went everywhere. I was Sheffield Wednesday for 1 week. I would be in Arsenal the following week. And then I made the decision to move to Tranmere Rovers as a scholar. I was 13, 14 when I signed for them with a professional contract on top of it for 2 years, basically to do my scholar. And then I was lucky enough then to be a professional football player. Fantastic years in Liverpool, but phenomenal. I enjoyed every aspect of it, and I'm lucky enough then to play for Wales at under 18s and under 21s with some fantastic people. Played against some fantastic individuals. David Beckham's of these worlds, your Paul Scholesy worlds, and I still say Robbie Fowler was one of the best I've ever seen in my life. So, of natural talent, it was just scary.
They'll be saying as well that they played against a young Gavin Allen as well, so don't worry about that.
Of course they would, mate.
Absolutely. Following your release from Tranmere, you came down to Arbor in 1986 under Mel Appleton. How was that as an experience from going from the pro game down to semi-pro with Aberystwyth?
I found it very difficult, to be honest with you, mate. I couldn't. I think I went something like 17 goals without scoring a goal when I got here. the the majority of the boys then would laugh when I say this is, you know, I was so fit basically. I was running channels, I was running everywhere. I was never in the box to score a goal. Then my brother came home, basically I had a little chat with him. And this we came down, and it was one of them. Scored a hat trick on I think it was the 17th, 18th game. And I think I finished off with 34 goals that year. So it was just a change of aspects, maybe somebody with a little bit more knowledge around you, just to discuss it with you, what I was doing wrong. It wasn't easy, but once that confidence grew, to finish off the season, I think it was 29 goals in the league, and then with the cup games, it was a fantastic year, to be honest, of goal scoring.
But funny enough, I was looking at my notes then and saying I can't believe you hadn't scored in the first 17 games. You've got 53 goals in the first 2 seasons you were at Arbor, so it must have been one hell of a record once you've got off the mark to carry on scoring.
Yeah, I think it was. I think Chris Venables beat me after 19 years of. I think I'd scored 27, 28 goals. Then I think it was the last game of the season, and he scored a penalty or something.
Yeah, he got his banger.
He killed me. But fair dues to him. You know, fantastic football player as well, and an individual. And for me, you know, it was the following season to see if I can do it again. And unfortunately, I think I scored 23, 24 with about 8 games to go, and I snapped my cruciate ligament. And that was it, to be honest with you. From that kind of goal scoring record, I couldn't really get back into that level of, you know, a cruciate ligament sometimes is a destroyer. And from my own career and what I had in my football game, basically, it was it was a bad time.
Obviously, you carried on playing for Arbor. Then you had 9 successful years in the club, and you went to Bangor, Barry, and Carmarthen as well. What was your experience of the Welsh Premier League like in terms of the standard of playing compared to what it is now?
I'd say of watching the games recently, you know, especially when you come into a manager side of it, then you look from out to in, as you would say. You know, loads of teams. You know, you're talking about your Connors Keys and your TNS. Completely 2 different contrast of teams. You know, one very organised, very structured. They know exactly what they're doing. And you watch TNS, basically, you know, the rotational play that they do, the movement off the ball, completely diverse. But then when you do go back, when I played, you know, we had Barry Town, basically, that, you know, they were full time at the time. And I still say, you know, hopefully I won't get shot with this. I thought, you know, best team that's played in this league by a mile, to be truthful to you. We, you know, how many games that I did play against them, and they were in a different quality of a team, to be truthful.
So once your playing career's finished, you settled in the area with Arbor. You went to work for the uni for a while, and you became assistant manager in Penryn Coch. How was that as an experience for you?
Brilliant. I can't fault, you know, from a community club and a village, Penryn Coch, absolutely brilliant people, fantastic football. The culture of the club, basically, it's thriving for the community there. You know, from my own learning experiences, you know, what a better way to do it. You know, learning off what I would say probably Gary Lewis, absolutely phenomenal manager, people manager. The way that he represent the club. A second to none, Matt. And to be honest with you, you know, he's good friends of mine, and you know, I'm hoping, you know, let's see what happens in the near future, to be truthful to you. But for me personally, it's what a great experience, you know, to see, you know, from the local clubs to the south and to the north, traveling basically everywhere and seeing different kind of cultures, basically, of clubs, how they play football. Obviously, there was good points. Obviously, there was bad points. But from my own learning curve of it, you know, I mellowed a bit. I got to be honest with you. When I was at Penryn, yeah, it was that aspect. You know, and one thing I have taken away, you know, what's the point of shouting and screaming these days? You know, it's literally to sit back, think about it. You know, of how can you get the best out of the players? People look at it differently. But for me, it was a fantastic time at Penryn Coch.
Like you said there, like I've the few times I went up to watch Penryn Coch, you'd see Gary Lewis, and for me, you'd run through brick walls for him, and like that's the type of squad and the attitude he tend to have up there, where you get players who, with all respect, weren't Welsh Premier League standard, but were punching above the weight all the time in that club. So you guys did a fantastic job up there.
But I think if we look at our current team at Aberystwyth Town Football Club, mate, you know, we've got to be thankful as well to say,
Absolutely.
you know, the progression for the young boys that's come through. There's 2 boys at this moment out are doing very, very well for Aberystwyth Town Football Club with Jonathan Evans and Steph Davis. You know, they've been at the club at Penryn Court for many, many years. And now, as you know, the way I see it, that now they're having the opportunity to play for Aberystwyth Town Football Club. Maybe other managers that wasn't from the local area basically wouldn't give people an opportunity at a Penryn Court Football Club. And I'm trying to progress with Penryn, and I'm trying to work with Penryn as much as what we can, that making sure there's avenues for our, you know, 17, 18, 19-year-olds basically that they want to get into that man's game, but maybe unfortunately that they're not ready for the Welsh Prem. And it's a great learning curve for them. And the trust that we've got with Penryn Court, that, you know, again, as I keep saying, it's a fantastic club for learning your own experience and your trade to start up football.
So once you left Penryn, you came to Aberystwyth Town then as, first of all, as a coach, then progressed on to assistant manager. What was it like working in the difference between working at Penryn, where it was the Cymru Alliance, down up to the Welsh Premier League?
Obviously, there's a mentality to it. Obviously, players have got high expectations. You know, when I came on board, you know, with the fantastic Neville Powell, he was, you know, he's got his own method and his own way basically to do stuff. His players that was here, always travelling from Liverpool, from Manchester, from Birmingham, basically to play for this football club, which is still a fantastic achievement to, you know, attract fantastic football players to come to the football club. But working with Nev for me was, you know, quality of him. You know, he's won the league, he's won the Welsh Cup, and a great man. Took a lot of stuff off Nev, and just how he is in the dressing room and how he is basically with players. And it was a fantastic, you know, I think it was about a year and a half with him, and learning and loving my trade basically of people which have been at the highest point of the Welsh Prem. But then that's the expectations of the players. Then how do you get your method of a football coach or as an assistant? Some players then, as you would know, obviously you're coming from a lower league to a higher league. They wouldn't know who Gavin Allen was, to be truthful. Next minute, then you've got to embed that culture, that what you're trying to achieve, basically, into that football team. And I'm hoping, you know, obviously there's been some big decisions made in the last season or so, basically, of how the club's going to develop and where we're going in the next 5 years of the project that we've got.
So, look, if we're looking forward now, so if we're having this interview in, say, 3 or 5 years' time, where would you want Aberystwyth Town Football Club to be?
Well, I've always said that, you know, there's them 4 teams, as I could call it, that, you know, they've, you know, from a financial side of it, from a professional side of it, you know, that they played in Europe this year. Then you got the next band of 4, and I cater us in that band of 4. Basically, if we can get a run going again this year, basically, I'm hoping to challenge for that 5th, 6th spot, to be truthful. But same thing again, we need to, you know, what one key thing for me, it's just not this year. You know, this is a 3-4 year project. You know, we need to consolidate together as a group. How many players has come to this club in the last 5, 6, 7 years? Loads of players basically have come through the club, played a season and left. You know, you know, if we want to develop something, you've got to trust these boys. It is a 2 or 3 year program. We need to develop them to make sure that this club basically is self-sufficient, and they embed in our culture what we're trying to do as management. And my goal is, unless if I've got a determination to be into that top 6, well, you know, it's never going to happen through the boys. So we need to get into that top 6, and then we need to consolidate as a team and as a club, and hopefully then we could be there.
Now, Gav, thank you so much for your time this morning. Before I head off, we've got a couple of quick fire questions for you. So the first question, the best player you've played with for Arbor, best player you've played with or managed for Arbor?
I would say, I can't say one, mate. I've got to say 2. I've got to say, when I played, you know, Ryan Nichols, He played up top with me. Both of us basically clicked when he arrived. I would never have scored all them goals basically if he wasn't here. And I've got to say, Glyndŵr was undoubtedly one of the most biggest potential that you've seen on his day. But sometimes you just couldn't play against him. That's how quick, that's how mobile. He could win headers, he could do everything. And again, two individuals which I keep in touch with a lot, are very good friends of mine. And I'd say for an Aberystwyth Town based, got to be basically the both.
Worst trainer during your time at Arbor?
Well, funny enough, I just left Arbor when this individual just arrived, but he was with me in Stockport County. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. Mark Lloyd Williams, Juice, is the worst trainer that I've ever seen in history. Again, a good lad, great individual. But what a different character when he was on the football pitch. He would just come alive. But in a training, yeah, I can't. I'll probably give him something like a 2 out of 10.
Favourite Arbor memory?
Favourite Arbor memory? Yeah, there was a couple, obviously, from the European ventures. But for me, I think we played against Barry Town first game of the season when Barry Powell brought me back to the club. I think there was about 1,400 people at Park Avenue. We were expecting basically to do well that year. Barry Town obviously full time. I think we won 2-1. I scored 2. And I still highlight that game basically, especially for your own standard of football, where you were in your own standard. And then to score 2 that day, I thought, for myself, it was, and for, lovely to see so many people down on Park Avenue. It was a glorious summer day. Yeah, one big highlight was, for me, basically, was that game.
Lowest Arbor memory, so the worst time with Arbor you've had?
For me was my crucial ligament. When I snapped my crucial ligament, it changed me as a person and it changed me as a football player. Once you've been playing and the only thing that you've been doing for many years and day in, day out football and being professional, and then literally then to do nothing basically for 6 to 7 months and hopefully to try and get the rehabilitation correct to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Yeah, it wasn't great, but I was happy basically to get back to football and to play football again.
Sum Arbor Town up in 3 words.
3 words. Potential. I was thinking about this before, to be truthful, and I'm thinking, how do I say this? How would I say this? Potential, huge. Fan-based, huge. And another, I would turn around and going, culture.
Culture. I agree with that. That's very, very fair. And the final question I've got for you, construct your ultimate 5-a-side team of players you played with at Arbor or managed with at Arbor.
5-a-side team. I'd be shot if I wouldn't say Stuart Kinnemouth in goal. Okay, so got to put Stewie in goal. Same thing again on his day. Absolutely, as you would say, a cat in goal. A phenomenal individual as well. I'd be shot again if I wouldn't mention Martin Griffiths, one of my very, very good friends in Australia. Top lad, great character that you want to have in the dressing room. Great person, and on his day again, a very, very decent football player. I'd pick myself.
Afternoon.
Got to be done, mate. Got to be, and just put the ball in the box. I'll try and do the rest. I would say a lad called Gavin Allen, very decent, technically very, 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 very good. And I would probably put like a defender-ish. I would probably look at another great lad that I played with was a lad called Dean Philpott. Strong, physical, demanding, a leader, and a top man again.
Gav, thank you so much for your time. Diolch yn galon o ti am amser bore yma. Hopefully we won't be too long now to a reunited at Cardiff Met. So here's hoping, stay safe with your family as well, and hopefully see you soon.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
Diolch yn fawr ti.